And all of a sudden, here I am going over this bridge where I used to go with my dad all the time when he'd be working on the ships as a longshoreman. You know, I felt that as if all of a sudden I would wake up and the guys that were the marshals, the two guys would say, oh, we're just friends of your dad's, and we were just joking around, and your dad wanted us to see if we could kind of scare you a little bit to where you wouldn't use any more drugs or something. You know, it was just like a play. Outside of the cell, like you can hear the water like bouncing against the rocks, you know, and it reminded me of the breakwater in San Pedro, which as a kid I used to walk around. So I happen to go over to the window and I look out and I see San Pedro and my eyes start picking out different landmarks. I saw Beacon Street, which is where my dad met my mother when she ran away from the convent, and, you know, where this whole ridiculous thing started from. I saw Fort MacArthur, the place that I had been inducted into the Army in 1943 that destroyed the happiness that I finally found with Patty before it even had a chance to start. And I looked up to Daniels Field, Navy Field it was called, and that's where as a kid I used to go to watch the games. I could see the street that I lived on as a kid. 24th Street and Alma, where I lived for a long time, and then prior to that, I saw 30th Street and Gaffey, where I lived for a long, long time, you know, even at an earlier age. It was really strange to be in that place, that particular place. For no reason, for having done nothing. Up until that time, I'd never committed any kind of crime at all, ever, nothing.
In 1953, at the age of 28, Art had been arrested by federal officers for possession of narcotics. There were 10 capsules of heroin concealed in his sock. He was sentenced to 4 years at the U.S. Public Health Service Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas. He served a year at Fort Worth and was granted a conditional release by the feds. Within a short time, he was arrested by the LA police for marks and possession of a syringe. For this, he served 9 months in the LA County Jail. Immediately upon his release from jail, federal marshals handcuffed him and escorted him here to Terminal Island Federal Penitentiary for violation of his conditional release, the LAPD bust. He was sentenced to 414 days. He would have done no time at all if he had been willing to inform on a dealer.
I was so despondent having to be there that they looked at my jacket and everything, and they saw that I had a very high IQ. They wanted me to work in the school or do something constructive. I refused to do anything at all, you know, other than just what I have to do without being thrown in solitary confinement. So they gave me a job, like I had a little pen and a little broom, and I swept the yard. I wouldn't do anything else. I felt above and was above most everyone there, you know, in looks and in talent. I was an artist, probably could have been a movie star, been a great engineer at Caltech. And here I was with a little broom sweeping up spit and cigarette butts and things, you know. It was totally outrageous. And seagull shit and things, you know. See, the only way that I could stand during the time was get kind of silly, and I started making noises. I'd go, I started growling. I'd act like I was crippled, and sometimes I'd walk like I was a spastic, and everybody would be lined up to go to work, and I'd be walking right by them, you know, kind of slobbering. You know, I noticed people like, wow, Mom, dig that cat. Then that musician, boy, that cat is way out, man. Dig him, pick up on that cat. And that's where I started getting my reputation as like a kind of a nut. No matter how tough a guy was, they were all afraid of a nut, you know, because there's no telling what a nut might do. You gotta have a front in jail. Yeah, that way you're left alone. People leave you alone. They don't bother you, you know. Scary guys were stabbing each other in the yard, Terminal Island was like so desolate. All you could hear was the foghorn. And every place I looked, it reminded me of when I was a child. And I relived all my childhood things just over and over and over. My father, he had to continue going to sea. My mother, she would be out with, with this chick. I don't know what they were doing. They'd be out drunk or something. I would be left alone. The house was locked and she wasn't there. It was really freezing cold and hungry.